All right, it is time now once again for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. My name is Elias Melas, but you can call me Eli for short. And once again, who is this lovely, sweet, kind, and caring, amazing lady here to my right?
I'm John Ledgerwood.
And who the heck is Don Ledgerwood?
Well, if you haven't caught on by now, I'm his girlfriend.
That's right. You are my wonderful, amazing girlfriend. Thank you. Thank you for 3.5 great years so far, baby.
No, thank you. It's been wonderful.
Well, you're welcome. You're very welcome, baby. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we have a very important subject to discuss, baby. We're going to be talking about morals, values, and ethics in the modern world. And, do morals, values, and ethics exist in today's world? Right, baby?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's questionable.
Yeah. But before we get to that, I'm going to start off the show here today by asking Don, how's your week gone? We are recording this podcast a day early this week. We typically record the podcast on Sundays, but because Don and I are going to the Giants game as part of our birthday gift, we're recording this on Saturday, May 17, 2025. And yesterday, Friday, May 16th, 2025 was your 50th birthday.
Yes,
Happy birthday
was.
once again, baby. Happy birthday.
Thank you, my love. Yes, yesterday was my birthday.
Baby, hold on. I got to give you a big round of applause for that. Big round of applause, baby. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it has been a great week. And it's funny, you think you're 50, you're like, oh, you're half a century. That sounds hella old. But when you say you're 50, that don't sound old. So I'm 50, and I love it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really proud to be 50, baby.
I am. I think that you should never be embarrassed by your age. You need to own it. That's part of your own self-love. If you're pretending that you're always a certain age, then you never mature to the actual age you are.
That's right. I'm not going to sing the old school classic song, The Great Pretender, baby, because
we all know you can't sing.
I'm not a pretender. Well, I can't sing. That's obvious, baby. But also, I'm not a pretender, and neither are you. The song would be irrelevant to us, baby.
Oh, I know, because I'll tell you straight up and just be honest, because there's no reason to, to beat around the bush and to not just take care of a problem head on. Just be adults. That's it.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's
primarily what we do here at the GNA, short for the Genuine Networking Association, or also known as the GNA Network. We're here to share our stories so people, learn from our mistakes and learn to become a better person, become a better you. And, that starts with understanding how you're coming off, understanding what you're doing wrong, and then accepting responsibility for your actions. And once you do that, you got to take actions to correct all of the mistakes and just get a little better each and every day. Right, baby?
Oh, yeah. Every day is a learning experience. And that allows you to move forward and do what's right in your life. And, you have to learn. Nobody's perfect. We are all going to mess up, but if you can recognize that and then move forward and not repeat those same behaviors, that shows you have growth in your life.
Yeah. And like I said, baby, it's about getting a little better each and every day. No one's going to turn their life around in one day. No one's going to make a 180 in one day. It takes time, but you have to start. And until you accept responsibility that there's something wrong and you want to take action to correct it, nothing else matters. Not even the best therapist on the planet or psychiatrist on the planet can help you unless you're ready for the help, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know that.
Oh, I know that firsthand.
Oh, me
I
too.
had, you're funny. I
Thank you.
had several things that I was so stubborn on that I was like, you don't know me. You don't know what I can handle. And that's because I've lived my life guarded, not letting people help me. And once I was able to open up and through the help of therapy and having a very compassionate, loving boyfriend, I won't give you patient. You're not very patient, but neither am I. So, but loving, caring, supportive, absolutely. And that helps. If you can find somebody in your life that will support you and love you, that's going to make it so much easier to face your demons and get past them and move on to a better place.
I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Frank Sinatra, God rest his soul. And God rest my father's soul. My father was a huge Frank Sinatra fan, baby.
Yeah, you've told me all about that.
And my father actually has, I don't know where they're at. They're one of my aunt or my mother has them somewhere. My father has original 33 and a third LP records, long play records of Frank Sinatra. And those are just incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I want those. I want
Put
those.
that in the will.
I want to frame them. I want to put them up in the office and make this office actually look cool. More than just having a green screen so we can put any background we want on the YouTube version of our podcast here.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if you're listening to us throughout the podcast network, the audio-only podcast network, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your very favorite baby, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, or wherever else you listen to your audio-only podcasts, we're pretty much everywhere. You can go below in the description of wherever you're listening to this audio-only, and you will see the link to the YouTube video. And then that'll take you to the channel that we upload the video version of the podcast to, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. You can subscribe, bang the bell, select the notifications there. And then after that, go below in that description of that YouTube video, and you'll see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development. And you can subscribe there, bang the bell, and select the notifications because we go live almost every day. I do walks almost every day. Now, about once a week or so, you're joining me on a walk, and we do other in-studio live streams there. So if you want more Eli and Don, I make most of the content, but Don does do a couple of pieces of content with me each weekend. And by special request, I'm sure Don is going to be willing to go live anytime from the studio by special request, right, baby?
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually thinking of shows that I could do like that.
Yeah. And if there's a specific topic you would like for us to discuss, email us. The email is everywhere in the description section of the podcast, the audio-only version and the YouTube version. eliasmelas at genuinenetworkingassociation.org. Just, go and copy and paste it because it's long. eliasmelas, ELIASMELAS at genuine, GENUINE, networking, NETWORKING, association, ASSOCIATION.org. Now, that's going to be changing in the future to eliasmelas at GNA Network, shorter and easier. We already have those domains, but we haven't activated those emails yet. We will eventually, and we'll let you know. It'll be much easier at that point. But for right now, just go and copy and paste the email. Send me an email with your topic requests, and we will tackle on your topic either on the podcast or as a special YouTube live stream on one of our YouTube channels. So you now know how to further connect with us if you want more of Don and Eli.
Yes.
And you know how, you know why I labeled the show Don and Eli instead of Eli and Don, because it's proper to list your lady's name first. it's always proper to mention the other person's name first. And I was raised to be proper with morals, values, and ethics, baby. That's a part of having great morality, right? Let me know your thoughts about that before we get into the topic here.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, it is. It has a lot to do with that. And going into our topic, it's going to stem from a lot of your upbringing, your parents, what their morals, ethics, and beliefs are, because they're the ones that are teaching you. So that's a big thing. Mommy and daddy, watch them, listen to them.
Before we get to the 4 Reddit postings that we're going to be going over today, we love Reddit over here. I have a paid subscription to or a paid account on Reddit. I love supporting good platforms that bring me a lot of value or bring us a lot of value, and Reddit has, right, baby?
Oh, yeah.
Reddit is absolutely fantastic because people are raw and real, and they don't have to worry about being removed from YouTube for doing something wrong. Of course, you can still get removed from Reddit or any other platform, but it's less likely to get removed on Reddit. And there are many options you can choose if you use nasty words out there or, use more explicit stuff. You can label it as that, and they won't take it down. But before we get to those postings, what do morals, values, and ethics mean to you, babe? You started off saying a second ago, it stems from the way your parents raise you. And I completely agree with you. I think the issue nowadays that we have in regards to, our newer generations lacking, in my opinion, morals, values, and ethics has to do with the way they were raised by their parents or lack of parenting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think it stems a lot from that, you are there to learn. That's what your parents are there to do. They're there to teach you how to live in society, how, just growing up and what you should be exposed to, what you shouldn't be exposed to. And that does fall into the ethics, morality, all of that stuff. Using Eli as an example, I never met his father, but I absolutely feel like I know him based on the way Eli.
I'm a spinning image of Dimitri. My dad's name is Dimitri.
Yes.
My middle name is Dimitri. And Dom was asking, so in the Greek culture, your father's name is your middle name, right? Like my brother is Chris Dimitri Melas. My mother is Eleni Dimitri Melas. I'm Elias Dimitri Melas. And that is respect for the man of the house. And it's not saying that women aren't strong or aren't equal. My mom, my dad were the best team ever, just like your parents were, Don. Yeah. But it's respect for the man of the house so he can do his part to not only provide for his family, but to protect his family from any and all danger and in any other way.
Protect them morally.
And morally and ethically as well, right?
Well, yeah, you're saying protect your family. That doesn't need to be, you're trotting around with a gun and anybody that crosses your freaking wife or kids, you pop a cap. But, that's not what we're saying. Providing, protecting. It's also teaching your children how to act in public because your actions are going to be interpreted so many ways. And you need to know how to just stay neutral in that. And just, I guess, you read your room. That's what you got to do. You got to read the room and see what you're around. And base that, look at your morals, your values and ethics and see, first off, should I even be in this environment? Or, because a lot of times you find yourself going, ooh, I don't think I should be around this. Like, maybe it happens to be you go to a college party and they tell you, oh, we're just going to be drinking, whatever. And then you get there and lots of drugs are being thrown around and you just feel uncomfortable. Like, I didn't come here to do this.
Right.
Instead of just going, oh, well, mom and dad told me to say no to drugs, but oh, well, what does mom and dad know?
I'm not going to listen to them, right?
Like, what do they know? They're just mom and dad. They're just old people, and it's it has to come from like the very start of life. It really does.
Right.
You can't let your toddler just go around and hit people and throw tantrums and all of that stuff. You've got to teach them, this is okay and this is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the not okay, you're going to suffer a consequence. And if you do right, you're going to be fine. You do whatever you want.
Right.
No punishments, no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Life goes on. And, I find a good struggle, is with you and I. We have very good morals, values, and ethics. And then it's hard to see it out there in the world, the disrespect that, people have. And I'm not even going to say it's just the younger generation. I've encountered people in my generation that are pretty damn rude.
Of course.
And just arrogant, think they know everything. So I'm not going to just put it on one generation.
You're not going to stereotype the millennials like I always do.
Yes, because I was telling him today when we were out running errands, he was talking about a person driving. He's like, oh, yeah, that's a millennial, doing whatever the hell they want. I said, or it could be Gen Z.
That's true.
Or it could be
Gen X.
Gen X. It could be, our parents.
Well, baby, every generation has people that lack morals, values, and ethics. It's just gotten progressively worse throughout the generations. It got really bad during the millennial generation. There are a lot of millennial men and women that have morals, values, and ethics, but I personally, from what I've seen, I personally feel that the millennial generation has the most men and women in the history of our planet that lack morals, values, and ethics. Even if it's only 30 or 40% of them, the majority are still doing the right thing. But when you have even 20, 30, or 40% of a generation that lacks morality, right? Morals, values, and ethics, that's way more than our generation. Sure.
Yeah.
You may have 5 or 10% of the Gen Xers and baby boomers that lack it. It's just at a greater degree through the millennials. And now the Gen Zers, the generation after the Gen Y millennials, they've seen how the millennials have behaved and how they've been stereotyped, and they want nothing to do with that. So they're trying to turn it around. I see it shifting back the other way around, but we've got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff we need to, tackle and help people learn to better understand, and even, help parents, because you're a parent. I've never been a parent, but you're a parent. So, we can help parents through the organization learn to better instill morals, values, and ethics in their kids from a young age. And like you were saying a few minutes ago, you were saying, a parent can say, don't do drugs, and the kids are going to still do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is this: parents holding their kids accountable or trying to hold them accountable, even if their kids make the mistakes, and they will, if they continue to push those morals, values, and ethics every time their kids make a mistake, such as use drugs or drink alcohol or do whatever, right?
Get a tattoo.
Eventually, the kids will learn their lesson. And if the kids don't learn their lesson when they're younger, when they get older and their brain develops better and they've had more experience, they're going to remember, oh, now I understand why my mom and dad were trying to instill all of that and say drugs are no good, alcohol is no good, all this is no good. Now I get it, right? Because listen, my mom and dad they pushed morals, values, and ethics, towards my brothers and towards my brother and I every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we always didn't listen to them. We didn't listen to them ever.
Who does?
But as we got older, 18, 19, 20, 21, we're like, oh shit, mom and dad were right.
Hey, I started doing that in my 40s. Yeah. I was like, damn, how are you guys that smart back then? But it goes generation to generation. what is taught from our parents and what we live through.
It goes individual to individual as well.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have people nowadays that are in their 40s and 50s and they still haven't learned responsibility. And they've never had good morals, values, and ethics, or they just don't know what it is because their parents never taught them what it is. And I believe morals, values, and ethics are one of the most important aspects that's going to make you a decent person or not. That's just how I feel.
Oh, God, yeah. And I mean, that goes with also finding a partner in life. You want to find somebody that has similar morals, values, and ethics. You know, you can't date somebody that's polar opposite of you. There's no way that can work out. You know, I mean, you really have to just focus on yourself and what you need and not fall into other people and what they were brought up with. And because you just got to go with what you know, that's my thing. And if your mom and dad have done a good job, don't let influence. But then on the other hand, if your mom and dad is doing shit and your best friend has two fantastic, you know, parents, follow their morals, follow their ethics, you know, because one day you might wind up in jail for following or not having, you know, and that could be your whole life, you know, with one small decision, or it could be the end of your life. So, you know, it's your choice.
You were saying a bit ago that these kids can say and do what they want, you know, and you know, their parents can say all the right things and it still, you know, won't matter. And it won't technically matter right away. But you got me thinking of a song, baby. Say what you want, but don't play games with my affection. Take what you need, but don't leave me with no direction. All alone, I sit home by the phone.
That's enough.
You remember that song?
Yeah.
My rendition of Paul McCartney was better than the Michael Jackson high. God rest Michael's soul. I believe Paul McCartney
He's still alive.
is still around.
I believe
right?
so.
Paul McCartney, I can Google this right now on the fly. He's 82 years old. Oh my God, he looks like Wolfman Jack. He's all good. Listen, respect to the ultimate Beatle, Paul McCartney. But that song, Say, the duet between Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson in the 80s. What a great duet, right? You're looking at diversity, a white and a black man. You're looking at two of the greatest legendary singers of all time. I know I butchered the song, but there's a lot of meaning to that song. There was a lot of meaning to the songs in the 80s. Let me ask you a question before we get to the Reddit postings, babe. Do you feel a lot of the songs in the 80s compared to the modern world had a lot more meaning in regards towards better morals, values, and ethics?
Yes, I do feel we had more songs, music, and even television. That you're right. Yeah, I do agree. But I also kind of disagree. You know, it's like I'm like 80-20 on that, you know? It's like it's hard to really say. So I don't know.
Baby, we went from girl, you are to me. Oops. All that a woman should be, and I dedicate my life to you always. And then we went to rolling down the street, smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice, laid back with my mind on my money and my money on my mind. I got a pocket full of rubbers, and my homeboys do too. I mean, we went from these meaningful songs, and I love Snoop. Listen, respect to Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and the rest of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the difference in the meaning of the songs.
Yes, they did get to be a little bit more fun and, just laid back with, you know,
I know I listen, I love Snoop and I love his music, right? But when you're looking at Atlantic Stars always talking about girl you are to me, all that a woman should be, and I dedicate my life to you always. It's a beautiful, meaningful song. And now you have songs saying, yeah, I fucked your bitch because she doesn't think you're cool or whatever.
no,
Like,
that
I'm
was
just making
like,
things
that
up.
was more 90s gangster rap. That rap today is not like that. It's not like, I'm sure there's some hardcore rap, but I mean, even the big names, they don't say that.
Right. There was an era like in the 90s and in the early to mid, 2000s, maybe up
Back
until
with
2010.
like
Yeah.
NWA,
Yeah.
that was very
Yeah.
explicit. And that was another thing. It's like
Yeah.
when we were growing up, you would go to the like record store where you'd have to buy CDs or, tapes, whatever it was. And it would say explicit right over it.
Right.
Like you can't even sneak that into the house because it's already like shining bright light. Explicit.
You couldn't buy those back in those
Oh,
days
unless
unless
you're
you were
18.
17 or
17
18.
or 18, yeah.
And or your parents went down and got it for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
But I think in today's time they do two different versions. They'll have a clean version and then maybe in concert they'll get a bit more freaky with it. But, I think today we don't see too much of I'm gonna pop a cap or
Back in the days of gin and juice, the radio edit would be rolling down the street, smoking, and then the pause instead of you couldn't say endo or indo. Sorry, indica, right?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't even know what that was back then because Dawn's the expert on cannabis because she uses it for medicinal purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they would just like rolling down the street, smoking, sipping on gin and juice, and it's
you could say sipping on gin and juice, but you couldn't say
say indica or indo,
which most people didn't know what that meant.
We didn't know what the hell it was. We didn't know what indica, sativa, and then hybrid is a combination of both. I learned all that from you. Like you're the ganja expert.
There was one to be. That would be me.
And it's legal here in California and in many states. And if you have any questions regarding cannabis or ganja, Dawn is the expert on that. Please email me. And when I set up Dawn's email, you'll be able to email her directly, and the rest of our GNA executives will get a GNA network.org email. But email me, and then I'll connect you with Dawn, and then maybe we'll do a show on that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a show on that. I don't know if we'll be able to monetize it on YouTube because cannabis is something that if you do a full show on it and put in the title, I think they demonetize that. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to do it. Anyway, baby, you ready to get to these these Reddit postings because they're very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and switch on over to the browser screen there. This is from the subreddit r/random thoughts. This was 1 year ago, so it's fairly new. And there's just a question in the title and nothing written below by the original poster. Why moral and ethical values are disappearing? Let's scroll down and read a few comments. And we have 4 of these, and they get better. But Real Estate Duck Baby says, they aren't. No, they are. That's the thing. Maybe your moral and ethical values just don't align with the general consensus. See, this is what I have a problem with. People think like morals, values, and ethics are based on the general consensus. No. In my opinion, they're based on the Bible. They're based on having faith. What do you feel morals, values, and ethics are based on, babe?
Oh, I believe, definitely it goes back to those, the 10 Commandments,
Right.
Right there. Everything goes back to the Bible. No matter what religion you have, you all have, some kind of word of God. And that's what you got to go back to. You got to have your faith in the Lord and follow what he thinks is the right path for you. Have a couple conversations with him. He'll let you know.
Which in itself varies wildly geographically and culturally. But I have to ask, what prompted you to say this? Morals, values, and ethics shouldn't vary wildly geographically and culturally. You either have them or you don't.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's either there or it isn't. How can morals, values, and ethics vary wildly geographically and culturally? Now, they may vary by some cultures not believing in morals, values, and ethics, which is the big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Some do and some don't. I think that's the only variance there. You either have it or you don't. What are your thoughts, baby?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's either there or it's not.
Right.
There or
right.
gonna be there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a penis. Like
I won't have one.
It's there. It's an obvious thing. Okay.
A better example maybe is you have a nose.
Right. We all have a nose. It's an obvious thing.
Yes.
Right. I know, baby. I said penis to be funny. I'm trying to be funny to entertain the audience a little bit because people think I have a stick up my ass, and I'm trying to, I'm trying to
liven it up.
I'm trying to loosen up a little bit more, baby. You know what I'm saying?
All right. We'll, good.
Anyway, Worldly Divine, 1924, the original poster, writes back and says, I was thinking the same thing, but I see lots of bad things going on. So I was just thinking one of them being disrespectful to parents or elders.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead, baby.
Oh my God. It's ridiculous what we
Right.
see out there. And we're even seeing it on TV. So that just becomes the norm. When you see kids disrespecting their parents.
Oh, all the time.
All the time on TV,
Yep.
Then they're like, well, if they get away with it, I'm going to do the same thing. And then there's all these kids that are like, oh, well, I'm protected by the law. You can call CPS, but that won't do anything. It's like they just think they're entitled to act however the fuck they want.
Didn't you once say to your mother that you're going to call CPS?
Oh, yeah. My mom said.
And then she started dialing the number?
Oh, yeah. She started dialing. She could have been dialing my grandmother's number for all I knew. But she started dialing a number. I was like, no, I'm sorry. But she called my bluff. She's like, I've got that number on speed dial, honey. I just got to press 5. There we go.
You know what? On a side note here, baby, we'll go back full screen for a second. On a side note, tomorrow, the day after we're recording this podcast, tomorrow, Sunday, May 18th, we're going to the Giants game. And then this is being released throughout the entire podcast network on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. We're going to be seeing your mother.
Yeah.
And, I pray for the best. But the thing is, I got to say, I think one way to get better with your mother's good graces is that CPS story. Dawn was saying she was going to call CPS on you in her younger days, and you said, "Here, I'll dial the number." I'm like, I actually respect that. I think that's fucking great.
Yep.
That's. I bet that taught you a lesson.
Oh yeah, she'd also say, "Here's a quarter. Go make a phone call."
Oh, like Travis Tritt would say, "Here's a quarter. Call someone who cares. Call someone who will listen
and might give a damn.
To every one of your sordid affairs."
That's enough.
I love my Shure SM7B. It's a great vocal mic as well.
Which is hurting a lot of people's ears right now.
You're Oh my. All right, let's go back and continue here. I agree. Don't be disrespectful to your parents or elders. Have some respect. Treat people the way you want to be treated, especially when you get older. You're going to want people to be good to you. And if you're not good to them, guess what happens? Karma comes back and bites you in the ass. And in life, you only get back, baby,
what you give out.
What you put out, you get back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may take some time to get it back, but trust me, once karma starts to hit you,
she's a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
She's a cray bitch.
I understand that maybe those individuals have different perspectives on this topic, but aren't respecting your parents the first priority? Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
They created you, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Respect your creators. Just like respecting the ultimate creator, God, and the good Lord Jesus Christ, right? You gotta respect your parents. Sorry, you gotta respect your parents, babe. I mean, please jump in.
It goes back to the saying, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
So, you just don't, you want to just be
I
cool.
tell you that every day, baby, because you try to bite me. I'm just kidding. Just go ahead.
You better watch yourself, kiddo.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? It's all good. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, no, I agree. Parents, they're not getting the respect that they deserve. Neither are elderly people. I think it has a lot to do with their impatience, and everything goes fast for them. And as we get older, it's not as quick for us, and they simply don't have the patience. A quick little funny example is my mother and my niece went to New York for vacation.
Oh, yeah.
They went
recently.
into Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And my niece told her dad, she was like, oh my God, Dad, it was excruciatingly hard to deal with Grammy and technology. She's like, like I had to explain everything as far as even like paying at the subway and like, so she was like, we get slower as we get older and things are advancing and we're set in our ways. We don't learn anything new. And these kids have like brains like the Energizer Bunny. And they just don't stop. And so they're constantly learning more every day and they want to. And I did that when I was their age.
Mm-hmm.
But then you slow down a little bit and you know who you are at that point. So, yeah, I think that's what happens a lot is they get very impatient with older people, and
baby,
that will cause disrespect.
Okay. This may be a stupid question. Do you remember the song "Parents Just Don't Understand" by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, which is known as back then he was the Fresh Prince, even in his music, but it's Will Smith. Remember DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, aka Will Smith, with "Parents Just Don't Understand"? Remember the song?
Do you think I was like born today?
No, I don't think you were just born yesterday, baby. But
okay, yeah, of course. That was our era.
This was in the 80s.
That's when we grew up.
But we're talking about morals, values, and ethics. And then this song comes out saying that parents just don't understand because it's about the 15, 16-year-old or 16, 17-year-old kid, basically just being a kid.
No, living on the streets of Philly. And
in West Philadelphia.
Yeah. And
born and raised. Right?
Yeah. And I think his mama just didn't want him to fall into the Philly lifestyle. And that's why she wanted her son to be a Bel Air. So she kicked him out.
Unfortunately, Will Smith ended up turning in his balls later on in life. I mean, I love Will Smith. I respect Will Smith, but honestly, you should never let women disrespect you. Look, if it doesn't work out in the marriage, that's one thing. But honestly, like, I always looked up to Will Smith. Maybe we'll do a podcast on the Will Smith story because there've been a bunch of documentaries and stuff. And I grew up with him. So did you.
Mm-hmm.
This kid went through a lot. Turned his life around, had, a great recording career as a rapper, a phenomenal rapper. He was the star of the show The Fresh Prince of Bel Air. He had his own show.
Mm-hmm.
With his DJ. Jazz was actually a part of, and that was the real DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
Like, at the same time they were making all this music, the show had the actual characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I learned many lessons from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. And it was a good example because mom, sent him away parents just don't understand. He wanted to get into that Philly basketball life and be on the streets. And he's saying parents just don't understand. What's the problem? Well, what he doesn't know is the parent knows what consequence he could possibly have being in that situation at that time. Drive-by shootings, guns, drugs, all of that on the streets of Philly. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about real people, but I think that was the premise of the show is, she sent him there to get those morals, values, and ethics from, I think it was her brother, that was what was his name? Uncle.
Oh, I don't think, was it Phil? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Phil. And then they had Carlton. I know
Carlton. Remember the Carlton dance?
Oh, who doesn't know that?
With Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Yes. And it's
I tell you, that had to be the funniest shit.
I loved it.
That honestly, that Carlton dance to this day is fucking legendary.
Oh, it is. It is. Like, it comes out on Dancing with the Stars. Like,
oh, you can do a YouTube search and find tons of videos on the Carlton dance. But and then Tom Jones was like his angel, like in a dream, because Carlton wanted to be just like Tom Jones and have the career and all that, and it's all good. But you prompted me to when you were saying something. Okay, here's the situation. My parents went away for a week's vacation, and they left the keys to the brand new Porsche. Do they mind? Well, of course not, or something like that, right? I probably butchered it, but great music.
Mm-hmm.
Great music, and in that song, he takes his parents' Porsche. Now, I don't know if this is a true story or not. And then it ended up being like a 12-year-old runaway, underage girl. And I don't know if he was 18 or not. I can't remember. But anyway, it was just a story of him trying to be a kid, making all these mistakes. And then, you learn your lesson. But you have to actually make mistakes to learn your lesson. Nothing wrong with making these mistakes. Kids are not going to listen to their parents, usually, if ever. But good parents will understand that, and they'll continue to try to instill those morals, values, and ethics. They'll try to say, well, look what you did. Look what it cost you, right?
Yeah. Think about it, from your action to what happened at the end, to the reaction.
Right. The next time, you might go to jail, right? You want to have a record?
I don't think you do.
No. And they still might not get it for a while. But as parents, your job is to continue to instill those morals, values, and ethics into your kids. No matter how much they despise you or are not listening to you, it will help them in the future. They will figure it out just like we all did. I never listened to my parents, like I said, but they were right about everything. And they kept on pushing morals, values, and ethics. And that's what makes me who I am today. It was both my mom and my dad together equally, right? But my dad was pretty hardcore. And my mom was the nurturing one. So was my dad. But my dad was more of the, enforcer.
Same. I would say the same thing about my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my mom was, you go to mom to get away with whatever you did and keep it from dad. But that doesn't do anything either to help that child.
Mm-hmm.
If you let him slide and not tell the enforcer, of the family, then you are setting your child up for going to
failure.
Jail. Yeah, going to jail, getting shot in the street, overdosing, anything like that. Or you can not even go down a bad route like that, but then your arrogance, on the other hand, can get you into so much trouble. And, people who are not taught morals, values, and ethics tend to be arrogant, think that they are better than everybody and that they can get away with anything. And that shouldn't be. I mean, you should always take responsibility for your actions, you know, and be like, well, I don't know. I think I should be able to get away with that. So, it's like,
Yeah.
no, you need to learn and keep learning, keep watching, not just your mom and dad, watch your grandparents. That's where you're really going to learn it.
Okay. You ready to continue? Let's continue here. We're at 45 minutes. We still have some time. So,
I am going to have to take a break.
Huh?
I am going to have to take a break. We can go over the next one, and I'll take a break after that.
Okay. So let's just finish this one, and then you can go ahead and take your potty break.
Yeah.
It's all good. In some circumstances, some parents do not deserve it from their children because of some reasons. Example, they did bad things or the other. Yeah, I mean, there's an exception to every rule. Some parents are just shitty parents. They're just shitty people.
Yeah.
But most parents are not going to be like that. The ones that are like that, that's the exception.
Well, the ones that are the ones that actually care and love for their child.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that don't are the ones that were babies, and mom and dad really didn't care. Daddy left because they weren't looking for a baby, and mom's living a single life and not there. And it could be just a fucking cascade of things that lead up to these things. So, it's like that's when you really need to pull your village in and, have your parents, your brothers, your sisters, grandparents, have them around to help because y'all grew up together, let's keep the family going positively.
Okay. I see many children, teenage, or even adults not respecting their parents. Maybe they have different opinions on the same things, but being respectful is another thing, right? Absolutely. You should always be as respectful as possible, even when people do you wrong. You can call them out, but do it in a respectful way and don't overdo it. Don't try to make the matter worse than it already is. But
yeah.
Stand up for yourself and say, hey, look, you know what? I feel wronged by you, but hey, I'll let it go. No worries. I'm just going to walk away, blah, blah, blah. It's about handling things the mature and respectful way. And the problem nowadays is a lot of our adults, young adults, and even adults in their 30s and 40s and millennials, they're very immature, especially the men. I'm noticing the men are struggling a lot more with maturity in the modern world than the women are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think that's because women they're more proactive as far as their careers and getting their lives together before starting with marriage and children. And I just find that when you're not steady, like in a relationship, it's really hard to learn morals, values, and ethics amongst being in a relationship. Because I was going to say, not everyone out there in the world is going to have the same morals, values, and ethics, It's impossible. But if you could be on the same line as your partner, your friends, your family, that's okay. You don't have to agree about everything, but as long as you stay mature about it, you can come together, talk about it, and then step away and be cool with each other, and no problems. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions.
Right.
And
right.
The only thing about that is that, they say opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. Yes, that is so true.
Excuses are like your asshole. They both stink.
Yes, that too. So many expressions for that.
Well, my principal, my dean of studies, told me that when I was in the bathroom, using the urinal, and he came in there. It was this big guy, and my dad was driving me to school back then because I wasn't old enough to drive, and we had traffic on the freeway, and I was like maybe like a few seconds late, and I was sent to the principal's office to get a late slip. And I was in the bathroom during lunch, and then the dean came in, and the assistant principal, the dean came in, and I told him, I said, Mr. Carboni, blah, 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 only a couple seconds late. He goes, Elias, excuses are like your asshole. They both stink. And then you could hear him zip up his pants with authority. Rip! And then he just walks over, washes his hands, and walks on out. And I have never forgotten that. That was, almost 40, probably about 40 years ago. No, not 40 years ago, because, how old did I do it? Probably about 35 years ago. 35 or so years ago. I remember that like it happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What a hell of a morality check that was.
Or a teaching lesson.
I mean, what a hell of a morality check. I mean, I was pissed off back then. I was fucking pissed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have detention now, but yeah,
And your dad would say, son, you were late.
Well, I mean, my dad was driving me, and
I know, but
there was a major accident. We would not have been late, and there were some times where the school would say there's an accident on 92. Police let students come in next 10 minutes without sending them in for a late slip. But on that particular day, that didn't happen, and I had half an hour detention after school. Anyway, let me get to the one more part here, and then you can go ahead and use the restroom. The final part I want to read in this one, baby, is Real Estate Duck again says, I'm going to read just the first short paragraph here. Funny you should mention general disregard for parental authority, as it is one of the oldest examples of people complaining about youth and their behavior. Well, it's the only reason. Like what this Real Estate Duck is basically saying, it is one of the oldest examples of people complaining about youth and their behavior. It's true.
It is true, but then why? It's because of them that they have no morals, values, or ethics. It's this older generation looking down at them, and it's like, well, it's your fault. You didn't teach it to them.
Right. The
What
parents
do you
didn't
expect?
teach the kids that, but if your parents don't teach it to you, do you want to live a shitty life? Why don't you teach yourself morals, values, and ethics?
Follow the school.
Yeah.
There are lots of places. Church, instills a lot of responsibility and, just attention to detail, everything like that. You learn, you have a great life. I've learned to let things go a lot. And I know the expression is let go, let God. And I've never been a really big religious person, but I've found letting go and letting God, it's working for me. It really is. So, and that's one thing. My mom and dad did not teach us to be very religious people, but it still is something that I learned as time went on. So, and I didn't learn that from mom and dad, but you know what? I learned that from a lot of my friends.
Absolutely.
And that also, you have your friends as you grow older, and you just tribe it together and, bring y'all together. You're a good tribe. It takes
Absolutely.
a village. It takes a village.
Couldn't have said it better myself, baby. Go ahead and hold on a second. Let me go ahead and turn off the camera here. Don's going to step away for a quick break, and we don't edit any of this show. We just do it live on the fly while Don is using the restroom. I want to remind you all that there are many ways that you can view our podcast. First of all, it's the entire audio-only podcast network through Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, which is my lady's favorite. You have Amazon Music. You even have Amazon Audible. It's there as well. We're on YouTube Music. And the rest of the unknown podcast networks. You can do a Google search, which is what I'm trying to say, for Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, and you'll find us everywhere. If you are a part of the podcasting network through the audio only aspect, and you'd like to see the video version of our podcast, go below the description wherever you're listening to this audio only. And, few lines down, you'll see the link directly to the video version, which is hosted on our main YouTube channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. GNA short for Genuine Networking Association. It's an organization I started a while back. What we do is we help people with their personal development and self-improvement. We help people get a little better each and every day, learn to build their confidence, learn to get over their fears, learn to get over their shyness so they can, if you're a guy that's shy, you can ask that lady out. And we can even help the ladies out too. We help everyone. So when you get to the video version of the podcast, the audio only podcast, please subscribe, bang the bell, and select all notifications. Also, go below the description of that YouTube channel. You'll see a link to our secondary channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development. Are you ready to be back on camera, baby? She said, just give me a second. She's putting on her lipstick, doesn't want the camera to catch that. That's okay. We can do it old school like radio where they can't see us.
Right?
We're in the modern world. People want to see video as well today, right, baby?
They want to see people that they're listening to.
May I turn the camera on, ma'am?
I am camera ready.
I'm giving her a fake pretend attitude, her fake drama.
And I'll give you a fake kick in the ass later.
Camera's back on. Well, what we've learned, baby, is that drama sells. So
yeah.
Might as well embrace the shit out of it, right? I mean,
embrace it.
Come
on, bring it on.
Realistically, baby, I think every couple, every person has drama. I think drama is inevitable and drama surrounds us. So why the fuck not just embrace it?
Yeah, I get where you're saying that.
But we want to rise above it, right?
Yeah, we want to rise above the drama. And we want, there are people that don't want drama in their life, like my parents, your mother, your brother. There are people like those people that I know personally that really don't like drama around them. So they don't put themselves into dramatic situations. They may be surrounded by them with their friends. For instance, your mom, she's doing fantastic on her own, but she has friends and family that she is taking care of.
Right.
And making sure every day she's there for these people. And that's what friends are for. I don't want to, do the song, but yeah, you don't have to just have mom
I'll
and dad.
Be There for You, the Friends song from the hit show with Jennifer Aniston and
No. The one That's What Friends Are For.
Oh, That's What Friends Are For. Dionne Warwick and the other artists, right?
Yeah.
For good times and bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. That song, right?
Yeah. 'Cause that's what friends are for.
Well, you came and opened me, and now there's so much more I see. And so, by the way, I thank you. Whoa, and
done.
I don't have the voice. I know I butchered that.
Honey, you butcher every
I understand
song.
that.
Every song. Especially if it has any high notes. Oh my gosh. He will break windows.
Baby, and I never thought I'd feel this way.
Never thought I'd feel this way.
And as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad I got the chance to say
Me too.
that I do believe I love you. And if I should ever go away, I'm not going to sing the rest of the song. You know.
Yeah, because then we'll start crying.
No, baby, I'm never going to go away. Okay, I'm just trying to be a little bit more funny.
And I know that's naive, but yeah, it's a naive, funny
I'm just not funny. I'm not funny at all. Well, we got a lot to go through in 30 minutes. So let's continue, baby. Are you ready for that?
Ready. Let's go.
Okay, the next part, we are going to go back to the browser screen here on the video version, on the audio only. Just listen in. The second Reddit posting is from the subreddit r/stoicism 1 year ago. Is morality important in today's day and age. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Mm-hmm. I think we've been talking about that a lot today.
Do you want me to bring the microphone closer to you?
Yeah. If you can move the base. Thank you.
How is that?
Much better. I feel like I can sit up straight, not bend over.
Well, yeah, we can move it. We can put it wherever you want. You move around a lot, so I get it set in the right position, and then you just move away. It's like you're scared of the mic or something, huh?
I'm not scared of the mic. It's just sometimes I sit back like, and listen to you and forget. Like when I come back to comment how far away I am.
Right.
So
well, I have a
sit back
special
up.
comfy lounge chair for you here where I should actually have a high back chair, like a stool type of chair. But anyway, we'll figure that out for the future. Maybe we'll get you a nice high quality, comfy,
ergonomic
chair. Yeah. You're on the princess chair. I bought you the princess chair because you are my princess. But anyway, let's continue here. So new to Stoicism. All around, I see people diving deep into immorality, using others, cheating their way into things, and yet they still succeed. We see that on YouTube all the time. Mm-hmm. We're not going to mention specific names, but
no, I mean we don't have to.
We don't have to. It surrounds us. It's around
every corner.
Yep,
it really is. It doesn't matter what community you're on Facebook or on YouTube. It's everywhere. How's that rock star?
Exactly. It's fantastic. Is there any use of being ethical, following rules, and not being jealous of others than if you can still succeed without following what is righteous? That's what I have a problem with, because the people that are not concerned about morals, values, and ethics, babe, those people, they succeed. At least in the meantime, they succeed, or for the time being.
Yeah.
I honestly feel that if you're pushing or writing the lines of morality or morals, values, and ethics, eventually, whatever you're being successful at the wrong way, it's going to implode. But in the meantime, people have created success, and it does appear, I've seen this, you've seen it, that the people that don't have morals, values, or ethics, or very poor morals, values, and ethics, they're more successful than the people that have the morals, values, and ethics.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I feel it's because they're sitting right here behind this keyboard, and there's going to be
They're keyboard warriors.
Yeah, there's going to be no repercussion. How are they going to get in trouble? Oh, you're going to
No one holds them accountable. You're saying because no one ever holds them accountable, right?
Yeah. Oh, big deal. You get a strike on your channel. Okay. So what are you going to do about that? Absolutely nothing. I'm going to keep going, until eventually your channel gets shut down.
Or you end up in court and then you have to file bankruptcy because you lose your shirt due to the dumb shit you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're dealing with some stuff on YouTube right now. We're not going to talk about that here. If you want to join us, you've heard earlier on in the show how to connect with us on both of our channels. Let's see. So let's see what. Let's just read. Yeah, I'm not going to read that. I read that earlier when I was looking at this. The original poster says, what then should be the definition of success? Well, the definition of success is based on what you feel it is as an individual.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
you are your own worst enemy. You are your own best friend. Mm-hmm. Success is defined based on how you see it. I get this question asked many times, babe. Mm-hmm. People try to compare me to other people, and they ask me, how do you feel you compare to this person? I said, it doesn't matter to me, because the only person I compare myself to is to myself. The only person that I compete against is myself.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Because if you compete against other people, especially if they're more successful than you, you're going to base continuing to move forward to try to reach success on, whether you think you can be more successful than them or not, right?
Yeah.
And if you try it for a few weeks and you keep comparing yourself to a more successful person, however they're, making their success happen, then you might say, okay, screw it. It's not worth my time. I can't get ahead. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been trying to run this business on YouTube for 7 years. It's been a side thing, but I want it to be the full-time thing. And many people have said, you've been doing this 7 years and you haven't made much money, which is true, but I keep moving forward. I don't compare myself to anyone. Yes, sometimes, you hear the hate and all that. And as much as you try to ignore and avoid the hate, it's hard not to, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn to embrace the hate and not let it get to you and say, hey, in your head, say, fuck you. I'm going to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And don't give up. But the reason why I keep moving forward is because I don't compare myself to anyone else besides myself. I don't compete with anyone else besides myself. And I think that's the definition of success, is how you see yourself. What are your thoughts before we move forward real quick?
I was going to comment on that and just say, if you notice, when you're in a like a sports team, or you're trying out for a high intense job, i.e. firefighter, police officer, when you're being trained, they have a stopwatch and you are constantly in competition with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they do it. They don't have you race against the other people. They have you individually trying to increase, do better, all of that stuff. And I think that's why in those type of situations, it allows you to just compete against yourself,
right,
and nobody else. You're saying, okay, I need to beat 30 seconds. Okay. I come in, I beat my last time. That's all that matters, is that you beat your own time and then you win,
I think, and when you move forward, I think that people that constantly compare themselves to others and base their success on other people's success, people that are constantly in that mindset are very insecure.
Yes. I mean, going back to like sports, you're going to have the quarterback that's out there that everybody loves. And then you might be like a second, like on the bench, second string running back. And fans don't know you as much. They don't appreciate you as much. You've got to go out there and you've got to make people see you. And that's what you do. You better yourself every day. So then you go out there and people are saying, who is this guy? Why isn't he starting on the field? And that's
right.
You can completely compete to do better within yourself. Nobody else. I don't care if so-and-so has 18 home runs and I have 6 for the season.
Right.
It's those 6 that I've done, I've worked on, and I feel accomplished on. That's it. You're still going to play ball.
And growing up, I used to compete with everyone. And when I couldn't beat them, it would piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got over it, I told myself I'm no longer competing with anyone besides myself. I'm going to try to become the best version of myself I can become. And a big part of that is becoming secure in myself, which I finally ended up doing that. And then once I became more secure in myself, I just slowly and surely, focused on just getting a little better each and every day. And I stopped comparing myself to other people. Let's
Can I quickly say something?
Go ahead. Yes.
Speaking like you talk about the millennials a lot and their disrespect and not having that. I think like I go all the way back to sports all the time, but I also watch American Ninja Warrior. I love it because
that's some tough shit.
That's some tough shit. But
yeah,
everyone on the sidelines that's competing is cheering for that person. They want them to compete and they want them to get to the end. And then they want to compete against them because they're all friends. It's in a friendly way. But they're cheering each other on.
But they're only competing with themselves.
Yes.
And that's amen. That's a great example, American Ninja Warrior, because, even if you're competing against someone else, like you shake hands and then it's all good. I think a lot of these people on the show, are just happy that they got the opportunity.
Well, and they respect what they're doing.
Right.
And when you have respect for what you're doing, you are going to go through the roof with your success.
Even if you lose the competition, you being a good sport and getting that attention on American Ninja Warriors on NBC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're getting exposed on one of the biggest platforms in the world, NBC, like on a major, national network. So, you even if you lose, you keep your good spirits. You're gonna have success right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm currently watching a show. It's called Tournament of Champions. It's a cooking show. It has all of the amazing chefs out there. There's some that everybody knows right by the name. And then there's some that are up and coming. And they have split them into East Coast, West Coast, and it's a bracket thing. And so they'll put the 8 seed up against the number 1. And each season I'm in the middle of 3. Each season, a number 8 has beaten the number 1 seed. And, and then they sit there and they hug. They say, congratulations. They go in the back and they're say, well, their cook was just a little bit better than mine, but I'm going to try harder next time.
Absolutely.
Love that attitude.
Amen. Double high five.
Oh. I know I take a lot of reference from television, but I do watch that. I study it, really. And a lot of shows are relatable to things that are out in the world and things that we need to be cautious about, things that are actually going on. These documentaries bringing us into the stories and the lives of people, all of that. It just really educates me and gets me thinking about people and not judging character, but seeing what their character is and, seeing if they would be something I want to watch, because if I feel it doesn't have good character, I'm not going to waste my time on a bunch of women screaming and pulling their hair. I was taught to be nice to everybody and not to pull people's hair.
Exactly. Now let's continue here. The last part of this one. Go back to the browser screen here. What then should be the definition of success? I see people around me getting girls, their dream jobs, their goals fulfilled by hook or crook. I'm one who cannot keep up with all that, and yet am about to enter in a profession which validates the same. What do you believe? What do you believe should matter to a person the most? Well, that's up to you as an individual. Let me share this, and then we'll get your thoughts, babe. Look, if you want a woman, if you're a man and you want a woman, put yourself out there and prioritize it. And make time for it, but make sure that you're in a good place financially and emotionally and mentally yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself health-wise as best as possible. Stay as physically fit as possible. Wear nice clothing, right? If you don't have your dream job, obviously you've got to bring in money somehow to survive. Get a job that's going to pay you enough that you at least like a little bit. And if it's not your dream job that fulfills your purpose, which is what he's trying to say here, in other words, then keep looking for work while you're working the other job.
Well, yeah, because you could possibly look for other work that's in the field of what you eventually want to do and work yourself up for.
Right.
So once you get yourself into the field, you learn so much more. You learn the value of the company. And every company is going to have like a motto that represents them, their core values. So working anywhere can teach you that as well.
Right.
It's the beginning learning lessons. My mother and even my daughter have told me in the past, because I felt like I was in a rut also. Like I just couldn't find the right man for me. I was upset I wasn't as successful as I should have been. And my mom and my daughter said to me, they're like, Dawn, the best thing you can do to get better in that.
Your daughter doesn't call you Dawn. She calls you Mom.
Yes,
Your mom calls you Dawn.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
That'd be like me going to my mom and saying, Eleni, and I've done it as a joke before. I used to call my dad Dimitri as a joke, but I call my mom Mom. But go ahead. I'm sorry, baby.
Anyways, the one thing they told me to do is they said, Mom/daughter, what you need to have is confidence in yourself. Once you have the self-confidence, people are going to be attracted to you like a magnet. They're going to want to be around you. So have those good things illuminate from your body and your personality, and you'll get pretty much everything life has to offer.
What they're saying is, in other words, be yourself. Yeah. Don't be something you're not just to try to attract someone, because then you're going to attract the wrong person. Be yourself so someone can choose to accept you for who you are. This woman was exactly herself when I first met her, and I accepted her, and she accepted me. And that's what I respect the most about her, is that she was just being herself. Now, had I met her 10 years ago, and she wasn't being herself, it may not have worked out. But her being herself, regardless of, what she was going through or a situation that she was dealing with, the fact that she was being herself, I loved, and I still love who she is at a core. That's what matters the most to me. Everything else, over the course of time, you can, make changes, and you can support each other to better each other. And that's what Don and I have done. Mm-hmm. But yes, self-confidence is very, very important. But I think a better way to put it in this case is be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be who you are.
But
don't pretend to be something you're not.
But you want to have confidence, because if you be yourself and you feel like you're somebody who can't engage in a group setting, well, then you have to start there and work up from that and start to build your confidence to say, you know what? I can be in this group and I can carry a conversation and I can fit in just fine. Mm-hmm. And hold my head up high. But if you walk into the room slouched and head down, you really don't talk and engage, then yeah, you're not gonna have that confidence, and people are not gonna want to come up and talk to you. So no, you're not gonna get dates, you're not gonna get friends. Mm-hmm. You may not even get employment having that kind of personality. If you don't have confidence walking into a job interview, why the hell do you think they're gonna, hire you? They're not gonna hire a person that doesn't have any self-confidence in the fact that they can do the job.
Right.
Go on.
Okay. Well said. Well said. I'm going to go through this one quickly here, and then we'll go to the last one because we need to wrap this up in about 15, 20 minutes. This is from the subreddit r/misanthropy. And the original poster's title is "The Real World Doesn't Value Morals." We both agree. Mm-hmm. We both agree. You won't get to the top with morals. That's not true. It might be a little bit harder, but quite frankly, I honestly feel if you don't throw away your morals, values, and ethics just to get to the top quicker, you could still get there one day. And getting there more ethically and honestly, people will respect you a lot more. That's the reason why a lot of people don't respect people in the corporate world. And we're going to read one of the responses below, and you'll see what I'm saying. But many of the reasons why people don't respect people that get promoted and get to the top in the corporate world is because they sell their souls to get there, or they sleep with the boss, or they do something morally or morally wrong or immoral, unethical, right, etc. The world doesn't value morals or ethics. No, we do. Some people choose to not value morals or ethics, and it's becoming more common nowadays because of the way people are being raised, right, baby? Mm-hmm. Only connections and money, which creates power, which is what people value. Well, it shouldn't be that way, and that is wrong, but a lot of people are only valuing connections and money, which creates power. People who were born rich had good connections, or perhaps both. along with the absence of morals, will succeed in this world, which is a joke. It is a joke. And there is a lot of truth to what this person is saying, baby. But I would have to say, don't sell your soul to get ahead. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's not the right thing to do morally. I know that a lot of people, especially celebrities, have sold their soul. People up in corporate, they have. Do I think it's right? No, it's not right at all. In the long run, you're going to have to face, the pearly gates.
Oh, yeah. You'll be facing the big guy in the sky. You'll be answering to Big G.
Yeah. And you're not going to be able to sleep your way up to the top there.
The big G is big G-O-D. The G. Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby.
Yeah, that's not what they were talking about.
Ends going crazy. I can't say that word.
Yeah, they weren't talking about God.
Oh, no, I know that. I was talking about God. You're going to have to face God.
Oh, yeah, the song wasn't talking about.
No, the song was talking about ganja.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just being funny and saying, you're going to have to face the big G, and ain't nothing but a G thing. And I was referring to God, actually, and not ganja and Snoop's song, because I think Snoop smokes an ounce a day. We're going to smoke an ounce to that. He even said that we're going to smoke an ounce to that. Like, they probably do that in one sitting. That's way too much ganja.
I smoke half an ounce a day.
But anyway, people, check this out, baby. I am so against this, and I think you are too. People usually fool themselves by saying karma will come for them, but it won't. Oh, yes, it will. Hang on. Let me I know you have a lot to say here, but let me finish this. Life is determined by chance and not some karma system. If you don't fucking believe in karma and the fact that karma has no deadline, it will come back and bite you in the ass when you least fucking expect it to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what karma is. This is the problem here. This person writing this doesn't understand the morals, values, and ethics. And the philosophy regarding karma is what you put out, you get back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're treating people shitty, you're going to get treated shitty back at some point. It may not happen right away, but when it does finally catch up to you, when karma catches up to you and bites you in the ass, it's going to hit you very hard.
Mm-hmm.
To the point of where you wish you never did what you did initially.
Or you never, thought of it.
Right.
You didn't even want it to crush your head at that time.
Karma has no deadline. Karma has no deadline. It doesn't.
No.
How many times have we said that over the years, babe?
I've been saying it since
you were born.
Birth. Yep.
Yeah.
I was actually going to have that tattooed on me. But, yeah, I can speak from my own experiences with karma.
Yeah.
It has come back and hit me hard.
It's bit me hard too.
And you just have to suck it up and realize.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Realize that is all your fault. What's going on today is a reflection of what you've done in your life.
Absolutely. What you put out, you get back. Okay, one comment here before we get to the last posting here. Yo Newts 321. This was 4 years ago. I've experienced this lack of morality firsthand in a corporation. People are backstabbing each other and do whatever it takes to climb the corporate ladder. We were just saying that. Here's the thing. It might help you reach the top quicker, but people are going to hate you. You're going to not have any friends at work, or you're going to feel like going to work every day in your newly promoted position. You're going to feel like it's a chore. You're going to feel like you don't want to do it. So how about, even if it takes longer, do the proper things and take the honest and ethical and moral approach to getting promoted. Okay. And then that way people will respect you more, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll respect you a lot more. After I vouched for a teammate to be promoted to the role of manager, the guy turned on me and forced me to resign. He stabbed
That's
you.
just
He
shitty.
fucking stabbed you in the back. It sounds like
That's just shitty.
it's shitty when you do people a favor that advances their career, and then they fucking get in a higher position because of that, and then they fucking ask you to resign or fire you. They can go fuck themselves for all I care.
Yep.
Trust me, karma will come back to bite these people in the ass at one point or another.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's somebody else that's going to come in and say, "Oh, we don't need them. Let's go ahead and fire them."
So he forced him to resign. He then proceeded to congratulate me for all the good work I did over the years, like nothing happened, with a smile on his face. I bet they were trying to cut payroll or something, and they were trying to, get him out of there because maybe he was making too much money. There's some reason why they did that. He basically vouched for a teammate to be promoted. Apparently, he had some pull to get a guy promoted. Now, for doing that, he's on the chopping block. This doesn't sound right. The people that end up in leadership positions in corporations are fucking sociopaths, man. Well, when they don't actually earn it or they're not qualified, that's when they're sociopaths because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. In my younger days, I was passed up so many times for positions I was very well qualified for by people that were not even qualified or far less qualified. And they got promoted because they were friends with the managers.
Mm-hmm.
The managers hooked them up. And unfortunately, that's why a lot of people, don't work for someone else. They end up going self-employed. I've been self-employed now for almost like 16 years. I would never go back. I will never work a W-2 job. I will never work for the boss or anything like that. I'm my own boss. And that's how I feel most people should go in this day and age with the internet having a wide open market of so many things you can do. But yeah, they are sociopaths because, they're just looking to get a better job that pays them more money that they're not qualified for. And they're just looking to use their resources to get there instead of earning the position. And that's why when they get in these positions, no one fucking respects them because of how they got there. And even if they got there that way, they don't know how to do that managerial job or that higher position. And then what happens? The employees below that manager know the job of the manager better and do the job for the manager, and they get paid less for it.
Or
yeah,
it could be a different way. Like when I was promoted to manager and all of the employees were all best friends with me prior to that. But as soon as I got promoted, they didn't like me anymore because I was not equal with them, So it could go either way.
Absolutely. Now, the final one here, because we got about 5 or 10 more minutes to wrap this up. I'm just going to read the original poster's posting here, and then we'll get our thoughts and do final thoughts. Let's go back to the browser screen here. Okay, this is from the subreddit r/true unpopular opinion. And the original poster's title is Society Needs to Return to Traditional Moral Values. Amen, right?
Yeah.
Society needs to return to traditional moral values. Unpopular in general. This will definitely be unpopular on Reddit, but judging by how common such behavior is nowadays, this is probably unpopular in general. Does society even have any moral values anymore? Questionable. Don and I do. And the people we hang around with, most of them do. Right? And it's a requirement to be a part of the GNA. If you don't have morals, values, and ethics, that's a key core value of our organization's main principle.
It's the motto.
Yeah. Genuine networking association. Yeah, but most people don't. Anything and everything goes from sexual promiscuity to recreational drug use to foul language, sexual content on TV and music, etc., and effeminate for men and boys, and revealing overly sexualized for women and even underage girls fashion. Yeah, that's what's happening, and everything's being exploited for money.
Mm-hmm.
It's all exploited for money, right? Not to mention things such as pornography, public drunkenness, etc. Back in the 1950s and before none of these things were an issue or socially acceptable. For example, pornography was not mainstream like it is now. being confined to a few dirty men, and drug use was only common amongst certain demographics. Songs and TV shows also weren't vulgar or sexual. They weren't allowed to be. Things such as affairs and drunkenness did happen, of course, but people had the good sense to see that it was wrong. Nowadays, no one cares. True. And let me just read this and we'll do our final thoughts. Last paragraph. People also dressed and acted classier. That is true, babe. Nowadays, you see people walking around in rags and acting like scumbags in the streets. There have also been other changes, but mentioning these would probably be too controversial. No, you're absolutely right. People will say that the bad things in the 50s were hidden, and maybe that's true. They were, but there wasn't as much of it. I mean, right now with the internet and all that, we've got way too many options, for information and to have whatever we want at our fingertips. But why shouldn't they have been? By having such behavior out in the open, it just encourages it. And I don't buy the personal liberty argument either. People shouldn't have the right to engage in socially harmful behavior, and they should understand that society has expectations, and going against them will have consequences as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So your final thoughts after reading this and everything else, babe. Society needs to return to traditional moral values. Yeah, I think honestly, we need to, I wouldn't say go back to the ways exactly as it was in the 50s, because we're far more advanced now technologically and otherwise. Heck, we were watching Law and Order, Organized Crime on Peacock, and I heard the word fuck, the F word, like literally every second word. I heard it like maybe 50 times on that show, and I'm like, when this was on NBC, now it's a Peacock exclusive. After the 5th season, NBC's trying to move some shows over to get more streaming subscribers. It works, right? I get it. But you're hearing all the F words and stuff. In the 50s, you would never, ever hear that. The FCC would fine you. Everything was over the air and majorly regulated by the government. But I think we do need to return to morals, values, and ethics when it comes to respecting your elders, respecting your parents, and just being good to people and being reasonable, and not selling your soul just to make a paycheck. I see that happen on YouTube all the time, and it's just very, very, very disturbing to me. What are your thoughts, your final thoughts? And then we're going to wrap it up because I just pretty much gave my final thoughts.
Yeah. I also wanted to include something that we've talked about prior is the kidfluencing and how unethical and unmoral it is for immoral. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No worries. Not a big deal.
For a mother or a father to do to their child. They talked about this all the way back in the 50s. When you had child actors like Shirley Temple, and like, was that the right thing to do? Was it, were they pushing the envelope? But now, today, we have parents filming their, 12-year-old daughters in bikinis and putting it on YouTube.
We did a show on that a few episodes ago. Go back and check out the entire library of shows. A lot of great topics.
Yeah, on kidfluencing.
Yeah.
But yeah, women taking pictures of their daughters doing things promiscuously and then putting them on YouTube, creating this page and this idea. And I'm sorry, there are going to be dirty, yucky people everywhere out there staring at your 12-year-old daughter in a bikini. How repulsive is that? How disgusting. And you being the one sitting there taking the money for it. Mm-hmm. And then your daughter sees nothing. Talk about immoral.
Right.
That's disgusting. So, it could cover any aspect of any person's life.
Right.
Whether it's your job, your family, your friends, anything like that.
Right.
So, bottom line, final thought is sit back, think about your childhood. Think about sitting on grandpa's lap and having those conversations or going on those fishing trips or whatever, and what these people have taught you. And,
Right.
and just revert back and, see that kindness, not being judgmental, can go so much further in life than sitting there fixated and being maliciously rude to hurt somebody's life. I mean, really, that's just, it's just not human-like to do, in my opinion. I was not raised to hurt people maliciously for no reason.
Right.
Right. I was raised to not be the person that burns their lips at Starbucks on a hot coffee and sue them.
You're talking about the old McDonald's story.
One, yeah.
The McDonald's story where the guy spilled coffee and he won $1 million for that, if I remember.
Yeah, it was hot.
Because the coffee was too hot. What the fuck? Coffee's supposed to be hot.
Exactly.
Coffee tastes shitty if it's not hot.
Or even the people that go as far as spilling a drink and then walking and falling. Okay, come on. You really want to make your money that way?
And now they put on the cups, caution, very hot.
Yeah.
Handle with care. And it's like,
caution, slippery floor. Everything we have to put signs up for.
I mean, nowadays people will sue you for breathing their oxygen. It's just, breathing their air. And, and it's just ridiculous.
Yep. Well, if we stick with Trump, we're going to have to pay taxes on the air we breathe.
Right. Trump may try to tax us for too much oxygen usage. Anyway, baby, anything else?
No. I just say, be good, be kind to yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's where you're going to find the right way to live.
Yeah, morals, values, and ethics, they are everything to me. They are the core values and principles of the GNA organization. And if we don't feel you have good morals, values, and ethics, or you aren't open to getting to that level, then it's just not going to work for you here. I'm very strict with that. I could have made a lot more money over the last 7 years on YouTube if I sacrificed my morals, values, and ethics. I can't do it. I won't do it. I don't feel good about it. I don't care how much money I've lost or how much money I would have made doing that. I will just not sell my soul. But that's myself.
Yeah.
That's done. Most people are not like that. And quite honestly, in my opinion, the people that sell their souls for money and sacrifice morals, values, and ethics for money, I think you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. Yeah. That's just my opinion. But anyway, time to get going, baby. It's time to start wrapping things up.
All right.
Keep listening to the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, episode number 9, which was titled, Do Morals, Values, and Ethics Exist in Today's World? Another great show. Now, we want to make you folks aware that are out there in audio-only podcast land, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music,
and iHeartRadio.
And that's right. She jumped in at the right time without me even having to ask her. Wonderful. Or anywhere else, like YouTube Music or, Amazon Audible. We're on there as well. Or anywhere else, including the unknown podcast platforms. If you would like to see the video version of the podcast, go to the description wherever you're listening to this audio only. A few lines down, you'll see the YouTube link there. It'll redirect you to our YouTube channel titled GNA, Genuine Personal Development. When you go there, subscribe, bang the bell, and select all notifications. Then go to the description, and you'll see a link to our secondary channel, which is our live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Life Personal Development. When you go there, subscribe, bang the bell, and select all notifications, and that way you will not miss anything. So, with that being said, baby, It's time to get on out of here. Another wonderful show. Love you, 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 love you. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, baby,
Be
good to each other.
We didn't do that right.